Good day everyone, my name is Jean and I'm CapeNature's freshwater ecologist. Presenting with me is Lonwabo Mkosi, our unit's technical assistant. We will be talking to you about some of the freshwater ecosystem related work implemented in CapeNature from April 2022 to March 2023. I will present the first part of the presentation on mostly the rivers related work.
Hi everyone, and I will talk to you about the wetlands related work before concluding our presentation.
Let's start with a quick introduction to freshwater ecosystems, which will lead us to the work we've done in the past year. Inland freshwater ecosystems are fed by surface water, groundwater, or a combination between these two, and these waters can be either fresh or brackish, and ecosystems within these include rivers, lakes, and other wetlands. Monitoring of these ecosystems have become increasingly important, not only to inform management on the ground, but especially in relation to the effects of climate change and land use practices. Some of the freshwater projects CapeNature implemented include 4 long-term monitoring projects on selected rivers, 1 protected areas management plan baseline survey, and also indigenous fish distribution and monitoring surveys. 4 annual wetland monitoring projects were initiated during the last year, and the long-term frog monitoring projects have also continued. Monitoring has also taken place at Groenvlei in the Gokama Nature Reserve. This map just illustrates the distribution of the freshwater ecosystem sites visited during the year. They include the river, wetland, fish, Groenvlei, and frog monitoring sites. It should also be noted that there is overlap between many of the different sites, especially in the Boland Nature Reserve complex area. So just quickly, the river ecological health monitoring reported here only includes the aquatic macroinvertebrate monitoring using the South African scoring system version 5 or SAS5 method, where the invertebrates are used as bioindicators for water quality and in-stream habitat diversity. The projects included 2 long-term seasonal projects, 2 annual monitoring projects, and 3 baseline river surveys to determine the present ecological state at each site. I will only be presenting our findings from the following 3 surveys, 1 example from each river project type. Before we get to the results, I just need to mention that the ecological health is reported on in the following format, where an A depicts a natural condition, a B is a near natural or good condition, a C depicts a moderately modified system, a D depicts a largely modified system, and when we get to our E's and F's, they depict critically modified or transformed systems. One of the seasonal projects is the Transversal Theewaterskloof Rivers Monitoring Project, which is the collaboration between CapeNature and the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. We at CapeNature collect the biological data while our environmental affairs colleagues collect water samples for chemical analyses, all in order to track the water quality of rivers that feed into the Theewaterskloof Dam. Here, the SAS scores, which is the sum of all sensitivity ratings per macroinvertebrate taxon that was collected, are mapped on the x-axis, and the average score per taxon, or ASPT, which is the SAS scores averaged out by the number of different taxa collected, is on the y-axis of each graph. The seasonal results fall into predetermined biological bands associated with the present ecological category within these bands. This year, biological monitoring took place at 3 sites, including the Upper Sonderend River in the Hortentots-Holland Nature Reserve, the Elands River just downstream of the Villiersdorp Wastewater Treatment Works Outlet Canal, and the De Toys River in Franschhoek Pass. Not surprisingly, the seasonal results for both the Sonderend and the Toys River sites varied within the B or good or near natural ecological category range over the different seasons. However, the Elands River site ecological conditions varied between critically modified during the lower flow conditions and largely modified during the higher flow conditions of autumn and winter. The water quality here is greatly impaired by the effect of the treated wastewater. The annual surveys takes place during the late spring or early summer, and the latest surveys were conducted during November 2022 and included 3 sites at Kogelberg Nature Reserve. 2 sites are on the Ouderbos River, one of them being upstream of the eco-cabins and one of them being downstream of the eco-cabins, and both of these sites were found to be in a good or near natural category during the recent survey. The third site is on the Palmit River, which is located in Kogelberg Nature Reserve, downstream of numerous impacts from the upper catchment. The ecological condition here fell into the moderately modified condition, and this result is likely an improvement from upstream reaches, as the inflow of several good quality water tributaries within the nature reserve allows the Palmit River to rejuvenate to a large degree before it enters the sea at Kleinmond. The Cederberg Nature Reserve Complex Baseline River Survey conducted during the last year was both a fish and SAS5 survey. However, only the SAS results are presented here. Once again, the results are depicted with the SAS score as a function of the average score per taxon, and each river site is depicted in a different color. More than half of the sites fell into the good ecological category during this survey, but without getting into too much detail, we had some interesting findings. The downstream Rondegat River site had a better ecological category than the upper Rondegat River site. This was mainly due to the upper site being located in the campsite at Algeria and downstream of the upgraded low flow bridge. Therefore, there appears to be a recovery in the ecological health downstream of the campsite. Secondly, although the Dreux River site is located within a mostly natural area, it fell into a largely modified category. The main reason for this was likely because the river reach itself was not ideal for SAS sampling, and the result was more a depiction of the lack of variety of in-stream habitats than of impaired water quality. And thirdly, the results at the Dwars River site was near natural according to the macroinvertebrates, despite a very recent fire in the surrounding area which decimated the riparian zone. And that concludes the river ecosystem work feedback. I now hand over to you, Lonwabo.
Our wetland ecosystems work during the last year were baseline survey done to inform future monitoring of the ecological state of the wetland on selected nature reserves using a simplified version of the Wet Health tool. This work focused mainly on CapeNature Landscape Central Nature Reserves, but included one wetland system in Landscape West. The Central Landscape Wetland includes selected sites in 4 of the nature reserves within the Boland Nature Reserve Complex, which included 3 sites in the Jongershoek Nature Reserve, 3 wetlands in the Hottentots Holland Nature Reserve, the Oudtshoorn Channel Valley Bottom Wetland System in the Kogelberg Nature Reserve, and lastly, wetlands in the Happy Valley area adjacent to the Midburg Nature Reserve. Most of the wetlands visited were in the natural condition during the September to October 2022 surveys. However, there was some variation in conditions due to the following observed impacts. The February 2021 fire in Jongershoek impacted 2 of the 3 selected sites. There could be associated impacts from the eco-cabins on the Oudtshoorn wetland systems. Thirdly, there are hiking trails that cross through sections of most of the wetland sites chosen. The Roshopan Monitoring Project started in August 2022. Monitoring here will include the main depression wetland and 2 inlet points. Results revealed that the inlet points were both in a moderately modified condition. There was no surface water at the Papkels River entry point, and the spring at O+ showed signs of trampling by cattle. The main depression was in a good condition as hydrological functions remain, despite the pan having no surface water at the time of sampling. This was mainly due to upstream abstraction of water and latent effects of the drought. This is also a Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation Resource Quality Objectives wetland monitoring site. Further monitoring will be in collaboration with the Department of Water Affairs, CapeNature, and South African National Biodiversity Institute. The Groenvlei freshwater lake within the Goukammer Nature Reserve has major impact due to the presence of common carp. A long-standing alien fish species removal project aimed at the carp was initiated a few years ago, and carp removal methods this year include bow hunting and gill netting. More than 1,500 carp, amounting to just over 3,100 kilograms, have been removed from April 2022 to February 2023 alone. Groenvlei has received much attention over the years, and several research projects have been done on the carp problem. Water quality monitoring by CapeNature and the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation staff continue to be done during the last year. And further monitoring has been initiated through a postdoctoral study by Dr. Minka Tolsma from the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University on the following aspects: ecological health, including frogs, aquatic invertebrates, and adult dragonflies, and a paleontological aspect in form of stromatolites that were recently found along edges in certain sections of the flare. And that brings us to the conclusion of the year's freshwater ecosystem work. In summary, the upstream ecosystem remain in the near natural to natural condition, and the impacts tend to increase downstream of the protected area boundaries, and ultimately it poses a threat to the ecological function of the estuarine systems. Our work therefore highlights the importance of protected area both in terms of water security and biodiversity conservation. And our monitoring projects allow us to track the impact of various threats, including those associated with climate change. We thank you for your attention, and we hope that this presentation on freshwater ecosystem work within CapeNature has been interesting and informative.